Hey everyone, Jason here, and welcome to today's class. Now, in today's class, I'm going to teach you what I call the angels of destiny, right? Okay, so sounds cringy, sounds exciting, sounds interesting for you. Okay, now why is this class important? Let me show you, okay? So the reason why this class is important for you, right, is because whether is it you are in your parenting journey, whether is it you are in your fundraising process, meeting investors, or in sales and marketing where you are talking to buyers, prospects, clients, or even if you are a leader and you are grooming your team, right? So what is happening is that every human being will be subjected to this thing called the confirmation bias. So, what is the confirmation bias? It is a psychological bias, a cognitive bias that every human being we only look for facts and evidence that really support our belief. Okay, so what happened is some people, right, even if you put a overwhelming proof in front of them, they refuse to see the truth, right? So what happened is that this is how most humans are shaped. Okay, now unless you are a crazy super learner or a crazy super scientist, if not, right, 90% of all human being, they actually will uh, only be focused on the facts and evidence that supports their belief. So therefore, when it comes to raising capital, when it comes to closing a sale, what happen is when you present and make a pitch, when you in the middle of your presentation, it doesn't matter how good your what you're talking about. Everything has to do with they are looking for very specific things that supports their belief. So in this class, right, you will learn how to um, prevent or at least have a better chance of winning them over, so that you learn how to reshape and readjust their belief. Okay, belief system can be adjusted, can be changed. However, it also can serve as a biggest shield, and whatever you try to attack them with your pitch, it doesn't work. So if you don't master this principle, you can keep pitching for hundreds, thousands of pitches and it still doesn't go through. Okay, because you keep talking about what you talk about, but you are not doing the things that is needed in order to work the belief system of the investors in front of you or the buyers and customers. Okay, and when you actually make this work, right, multi-million dollar results will show up. So the students that the graduates that you're seeing before you, they've all made it work. They've all been able to improve their sales, raise capital, because they learn to present their information. They learn to do the in a very, very memorable play, right? Okay, so uh, if you want multi-million dollar results like this, then you need to be very, very focused in this class. Okay, and what I'm about to show you can even work on advertising if you are doing Facebook or any social media related advertising, can work for your partnership. Okay, and can also create massive transformational results for what's coming. Sounds good? Okay. Now, so let's go into the first class, shall we? Oh, quickly, a quick commercial. Okay. If you're first time with me, if you're getting this class for the first time, or someone gifted you this class, that's because they feel that you can benefit from the class, or maybe even I myself personally sent you this class. So if you are not enrolled into the 1Pitch program yet, then go to authorjason.com/reviews. On that page, you'll find your previous seniors and graduates who have used the principles to achieve a lot of results for themselves, whether is it the founders or fund managers raising capital, teachers, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, enrolling more students for their program, even second gen, third gen business owners who is dealing with traditional businesses getting more buyers. It works even if you're in old traditional boring business. Why? Because these are fundamental persuasion principles that I'm teaching here that can even help with your career if you're trying to get more job promotions or better career choices, even if you're trying to be a better parent and to educate your kids to groom them into the future of tomorrow. And maybe you're single, it can help you get the companion of your life as well. Okay. Now, at right now, for the for only 400 people, you get my AI platform for free for your first year off. It's worth over $50,000 to get this gift. That's my gift to you for enrolling into the 1Pitch program. Sounds good? If you want a tour, go to authorjason.com/1pitchai. This tool allows you to replace over 30 other softwares that you are using right now, including invoicing, automation for email and WhatsApp, funnel building, and many, many more. All right, go and check it out. Now, so let's recap, right? Before we start the class, let's recap why are we doing all of this and why would you want to learn all of this? Well, simply put, chances are you're probably one of the many. And being one of the many sucks. Why? Because you're dealing with people who are super, super toxic, super, super nightmare. They want lobster for the price of a prawn. And they're cheapskate. And even if you give them the lobster, then what happens is even if you let them have the lobster at the price of the prawn, they end up disrespecting you. Your efforts are not appreciated, isn't it? And then you are still treated like a commodity. They still say you are expensive. You can never be cheap enough for them. The only thing that they want is what? Yeah, it's free. Right. So what's the way out then? The way out is to remove yourself from the quadrant and really move yourself up and elevate and rise up and ascend into what I call the easy dollar positioning. To remove yourself from the hard pennies. And to do that is learning how to become the best and only logical choice, as well as being the unique and special one in the hearts and minds of your prospect. So when you're above, when you have elevated and ascended and you rise up into the easy dollar environment, you will find that it's very easy for you to charge a premium on your fees. And when you charge a premium, right, what happens is you find yourself attracting a very different profile and group of customers and investors. And because you're attracting a different group of buyers and investors now, what happens is that the sales cycle is drastically reduced. what you used to make in 10 months, suddenly you find yourself earning in just 10 days. Why? Because this group of buyers, they make decisions a lot faster than the cheapskate ones, thereby helping you make a lot of money in a short, very, very, very short period of time, right? Example, just look at Leon. He turned a $2,000 website project into a 2 million opportunities. Hey, who here can really benefit from this kind of tremendous opportunity? Wouldn't you want that? Okay, you can. Okay, when you stop dealing with people who don't respect your craft, who don't respect your value and your worth, when you stop dealing with people who are cheapskates, who want lobster for the price of a prawn, and even if you give it to them, they turn out to be a toxic nightmare. That's the worst thing that can happen to anyone who is business. Wouldn't you agree? So today's class on Angels of Destiny, I'm gonna show you the 4 angels. I'm gonna show you my 4 angels. These 4 angels has helped me tremendously to speak to the destiny switch of my investors, my clients, my students, my mom, even my family too, right? So remember we talked about the destiny switch, right? And how if you don't learn to speak to the destiny switch, your prospects will be shut down, their resistance will be all-time high, and their wall will be full of doubt and skeptic. So you need to remove that wall. You need to melt that resistance like a butter. If you don't do that properly, it's going to be like a thick slab of butter that you cannot get through. So the 4 angels, when you use them beautifully and perfectly, it's going to feel like your prospects are going to feel like as if angels have the wings hugging them and snuggling in it, feeling warm, feeling comfortable, and ready to accept your proposal, ready to listen to your pitch, willing to pay you a premium and allow you to earn a profit. Sounds good? Great. So let's start with angel number 1. Angel number 1 is called the angel of the framing effect. So what is the framing effect? So framing effect talks about this. You see on the left and right, there's 2 examples. The first example talk about this is a 10% chance of failing. Now in the other example is that it has a 90% of success rate. Now given to you, right, which one do you actually enjoy or prefer? Okay. Another example is one beef is 80% lean beef. The other one is 20% fat. Now the truth is research has shown that more people would choose the 80% lean unless they really want to eat the fatty beef. So it turns out to be the exact same thing. So what is the framing effect? The framing effect, right, is like the container. It's like the fruit bowl of when you put a fruit. So when you frame up when you frame up your pitch, when you frame up your conversation, it's going to feel like shipping a content like water. Now what do I mean? What I mean is that, you see, if you put a water into a teacup, it becomes the teacup, right? So framing in essence is setting and building a context as well, to have a different frame. So there's this science that called frame walls. So what is the frame wall is that everyone have a frame that they operate around in life. And this frame, right, allows them to look for facts and evidence to support their belief. It also allows them to reject away unnecessary information that doesn't serve them. Right? So when your frame is weak versus someone with a stronger frame, what happens is that the frame will be eaten alive. Example is like a fruit bowl that is not very strong. So when you put the fruits, which are the contents, which are the information that you pitch, what happens is that the bowl will break. So when you're pitching and when you're presenting to your audience, to your investors, what happens is when you do this properly, then they will shut down. Their resistance will be all-time high. They will be overwhelmed and they will be flooded. When that happens, they become they wouldn't be able to receive and accept your information in a way that is ready to make a decision, right? Okay, so in the 1Pitch program, if you already have it, remember I talk about the codes. Okay, so I call this the codes. So there are essentially, right, 4 different kind of frame that you will meet. This applies for investors, children, buyers, prospects, even your own team. Right now, you are going to face with 4 different types. The first type is the people who are safety driven. They love planning, they love safety, they love predictability, they love structure, they love systematic processes, and they don't like anything that is like outside of a certain comfort zone, right? So they like everything. So these are the people that will love to, they love to do everything without risk. Okay, so that's the first group of people. That's the first frame, the frame of safety. So the second frame is people who are adventure driven. They love fast. They love F1, right? They love stocks. They love fast moving things. They love speed. They love risk, right? Because they love freedom. So this group of people is a little bit opposite to the people who are safe, isn't it? The safe people look for no risk, slow, safe, structure planning. Whereas the fast people, they are always, they love impulsive stuff. They love to make impulse buy. They also love big dreams and big dreamers, have very big ambition, very fast. They can never stay still. They love adventure, so they don't like to plan. They like impromptus. That's the second frame. So the third frame is people who are nice. This is people who are like Mother Teresa. So like Mother Teresa, right? They are like the healers of the world. They are like the Mother Earth. They are always very embracing, very hugging, to the point where this group of people, they don't really care about money that much. They care about peace, harmony. They care about community. They always try to be encouraging, loving. They speak with very soft tone most of the time. Okay, and so that's the third frame. Okay, now then there's a fourth frame. The final frame is the data frame. So this frame is people who are very analytical. They like research. They like timeless principles. They like frameworks. They like to do a lot of studies. This group of people trust data. They trust facts. They trust science. Okay, they don't like to they don't like to make any decision on the spot. If you tell them something, they will doubt you, and then they will want to go back and do their own research because they trust the data, right? Now, so do you notice and do you realize that, let's say we talk about the first 2 profile, the people who are in the safe profile versus in the fast profile. Now, these two group of people, if you are using the fast profile, which is people who love adventure, people who love risk, people who are big dreamers, and you're speaking in that language, and then right, you're trying to sell this to the people who are safe driven, who love a lot of planning. Do you realize that they have a clash of frame? So if you are, so look at this and ask yourself, which code do you belong to? If you belong to the code, code of being fast, and you're talking about all these big dream and go fast to the people who are focused on safe, and then you are talking about all those big dreams, big ambition, but you never talk about safety and risk protection. You never talk about seatbelts. Then you will lose the audience and you will lose the investors who are safety driven, because your frame is conflicting each other. Do you see that now? Alright, good. So that's the frame, right? That is essentially, I teach this inside the 1Pitch program. So if you want to go deeper into this topic, make sure you take that module. Alright, so with that, now let's go to the second angel. So the first one, let's re-summarize. Okay, the first one we talk, you must fit the frame, you must fit your frame into the frame of your investor. If you are meeting someone who is a safety by driven and you only talk about fast and big, you will not win that frame. In fact, you will have a clash of frame. Therefore, they will not invest in you. Make sense? So when your frame does not fit, when your information, when your content does not fit into their existing frame, and you keep clashing with them, conflicting with them, then it's going to be like you're fighting over and over again, making it impossible to win them over. And this is, I use the word investors because most of you are raising capital, right? But there'll be some of you who learn this for parenting, career option. Your boss will have a certain frame, right? Then you will see that in the workplace, different people would have different frames. Therefore, it's always conflicting with each other. So you have a group of people who hate each other, another group of people who love each other. That's framing, right? Okay. So another word for that could be personality. Yes, different personality have different frame. Got it? Good. Now let's talk about the second one, okay? The second one is about the anchoring. So the second angel is called the anchor effect. Now the anchor effect talks about how the beginning is the end. It leverages on the principle of what we call the primacy and the recency effect. So what do I mean? That means, right, the first thing that your investor is exposed to is the benchmark that they will use to judge or assess the next thing, the first and last thing that someone is exposed to. For example, the last disappointed romance that you have becomes the benchmark for your next relationship, and your first love becomes that benchmark for all your next love. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, now you see, Rolls-Royce used this principle, right, to a level where they put their car in a air show. So the theory is that you will reach out to people who can afford to buy, if they can afford to buy jets and planes for tens of millions, they can afford a $1 million car, right? They can afford a $500,000 car, isn't it? The second reason is also because when you, according to Rory, right, this guy who is very famous in the world of advertising and marketing, he is in Ogilvy. So he talks about how when you go to the air show, you spend the whole afternoon looking at 100 million jets. Suddenly the $300,000 car is not that expensive. it becomes a impulse buy. It's like putting sweets next to the counter where you just grab as you head out the way. So that is some form of anchoring effect, where the entire afternoon has been anchored on the fact that these are 10 million, 5 million, 100 million. So if people who come and cannot afford the 10 million, they buy 300,000. It doesn't feel like it's worth is that expensive. So you will see this very often, right, in the world of price anchoring, where you see like Starbucks, you see like McDonald's, they do this also, right? They will anchor, they will do price anchoring, where this is that price, and then the other one is another price, right? And then you weigh the difference. So that is price anchoring, okay? But in this class, right, what I'm trying to teach you is not just price anchoring, but also about the anchoring is the theory of primacy and recency. So the moment your prospect comes out of the door, the first thing that they witness is what is going to be used as a benchmark to judge you, to assess you. So the first thing they do is the benchmark. The first thing they see, they will use it as a benchmark. So how you start a presentation, the ending of your presentation is very much happening during the beginning of your pitch. Okay, so in another example, look at this. This is another anchoring in effect. Okay, it's when you limit to 12 cans, the average purchase goes up to 7. When there's no limit at all, the average is only 3. So that is one way of anchoring as well. Okay, but remember, one of the most common anchoring is called price anchoring. That is where you see, okay, something is $1,000. The large is, okay, using Starbucks or McDonald's as an example, the large is $7. The medium is $5. Right, the small one is like $4. Okay, in a way that is price anchoring also. Okay, now the third thing we are talking about here, the third angel, would be priming. Now priming is very, very powerful. Priming and conditioning, both they interconnected like cousin. So what is priming and conditioning? So priming and conditioning, right, is this one, it actually precondition, is almost like marination of the prospect, the investor's mind, before you even meet them. The moment they it's like things that's happening in the background. Okay, it's a very subconscious, very passive kind of thing. Then conditioning is a bit more active, that requires some form of active association. So example, okay, research was done with a dog. When they ring a bell, the dog has nothing. Then after that, right, they introduced the meat to the dog, and the dog obviously started salivating, right? Okay, so then after that, what happened, right, is that they combine the two. Then the next time they ring the bell, the dog is salivating. You will notice this is, if you already own a pet, you notice that this is exactly how your pet is trained. Conditioning and priming, right? Priming is the background. Priming is the things that is marinating you in the background. Alright, so the poster you put in the room, even though you are not actively reading it, it primes you, right? It preconditions you. So in priming, we have a saying. that everything speaks even if it doesn't. What does that mean? That means, let's say your prospect enter your showroom, it enters your office, and they see a quote, and this quote, right, comes from someone they know as well, come from another program that they attended. Instantly, right, that quote itself primes them, precondition them that, hey, the two of you might have something in common, or it precondition them that what you're about, what your beliefs are. Make sense? Okay, so that's priming. So priming is everything that's happening in the background that's preconditioning you. Then conditioning is active. Got it? So every day, if let's say uh yeah. Okay, so let's go into the $1 billion moves by $1 billion brands. Now look at these three brands that you see on the screen here. Do you realize that they have all applied the three angel principles that I shared with you? They do it perfectly and beautifully, right? Nike, frame, anchor, and prime their audience that if you want to win championship, our shoes are made for great athletes. See, when you want to win championship, do you want to wear a normal shoe or you want to wear the shoe that Michael Jordan win championship with? So what happened is that when you wear the shoe, you feel like a champion, even though you're not going for competition. So that's a very, very powerful $1 billion move right there, because you got to think about what can you do with your brand, with your startup, with your investment, with all the things you're doing. How do you make and how do you replicate the exact same thing using these three principles? What does your prospect, when they are researching about you, or when they look you up, they see you, are you associated to celebrities, right? That primes them naturally. That anchors your value very differently. Let's say you are not someone who is very public. Then when they enter the lift to go and do business with you, what are they seeing? Make sense? Now, a lot of people talk about how the fact that, oh, you must be on social media, you must be public. If not, people search you and they cannot do business with you. Well, that's not really true, isn't it? Because, I mean, do you know who is the owner or CEO of Nike until today? Probably not, right? Okay, so not every the here's the thing is, when you are showing up, it can also work for it can also work if you don't have a social media profile. That's what I'm trying to say. Because when you're a beginner, right, when you're just starting out, the truth is what you say on your social media will hurt you more than it helps you. I believe okay, 5 to 7 out of 10 times, I believe so. Because okay, we go into this topic another time. However, I'm going to close the loop here that if you are dealing with a lot of strangers and you're new, right, strangers are looking for a reason not to buy from you rather than trying to buy from you. Is this making sense? So the more you write, the more you post, the more disadvantage you have actually, because they are not ready to buy from you yet, and you have not primed them properly, you have not framed yourself correctly, you have not anchored yourself accordingly. Therefore, right, your prospects are looking you up and they have their own confirmation bias, you see. However, on the flip side, right, when you're doing this for people who are almost ready to buy from you, they enter the lift, they make an appointment with you, they see your funnel, it's very different, because they are going to your office, they are taking the lift, they are going there also looking for a reason not to buy, but the mentality is different already, because they are ready to try to do business with you. So when you have that kind of scenario, right, where people are ready and trying to do business with you, they are looking for different thing now. They are looking for reasons to do business with you. So then when you put these principles into effect, it helps you a lot more. Got it? Now, can you use this for your personal branding efforts and everything? Yes, for sure. That's another class. Then we talk about specifically how do you use it very targetedly. Now, in this class, I'm giving you the overview first, and then you have to, and then after that, from there decide how to use it to your advantage. Got it? So the second brand is like the Apple brand, and then the third brand is like the Red Bull. So Apple, this campaign, right, was the one that saved them and turned things around by Steve Jobs. And what happened is that in their commercial, right, you realize they don't sell any product at all. They don't talk about any product. Why? Because they are framing, anchoring, and priming their audience that, hey, if you don't want to be like anyone else, if you want to be associated to all these great legends, Apple is that brand for you. So I don't know about you, but when I use Apple, right, I look at other Windows users, I really feel different. I feel that I'm ahead of times, even if I'm not. I feel that way, right? So that's the feeling and that's the identity that Apple has created. Now, for you, is you have to decide and start to think, what do you want to do with your brand? How would you like your brand to how would you like to frame your brand? So how would you like to associate your brand, and how would you like to prime and anchor your brand with? So Nike anchors themselves and frame themselves with that, okay, we are a sportswear for great athletes and championship. Apple frames and anchors on the fact that, okay, we are different. We are all these great legends. If you want to innovate, if you want to rebel, we are the brand, right? Then Red Bull is all about extreme sports, right? F1 lah, moon racing lah, this lah, that lah. So that is the uh, that is what they are anchoring with their audience. Make sense? Okay, good. So think about, how would you want your brand to anchor around what? Do you want to be represented with what? That's the anchoring. Because they're benchmarking, your prospects, your audience, your customers are going to benchmark you against that. Okay? Now, so then after that, I want to show you this actual process. Okay? So another way to use these principles and these angels, and then we call it a day for this class, okay? And then I will review the fourth hidden angel in another class. Sounds good? Okay, so when you're using these three angels, right? These three angels are used in this sort of format. The priming happened before the actual pitch. In fact, it's before the actual pitch. So you prime them, because you priming them, you precondition their mind before you even speak a single word with them. Okay. Then anchoring is when you, during the whole process of their research, during your marketing, during before the actual pitch. Okay. Framing happens before as well. Framing happens before, very near and very close to the actual pitch in terms of timeline. Now the truth is, all these three, right, can happen during the pitch. So when you are in the room pitching with the investors, what are they seeing and things like that. During anchoring your presentation itself. Got it? During the presentation itself, what are you anchoring yourself with? and how do you frame the information. Okay, that is everything you learn inside the 1Pitch program. In the 1Pitch program, all of this is built inside the program to help you deliver a profitable pitch. So you don't even have to worry, you just have to copy and paste. Now, in this class, what I'm trying to encourage you and inspire you is with the billion-dollar brands and what they do, right? What can you do that primes the audience before they even talk to you in the first place? Got it? Now, then after that, it's all about the framing and the anchoring. How do you actually anchor and benchmark yourself before the presentation, during as well? Okay, during the entire journey, during the entire process. So the reason why a lot of people will say, for example, you are expensive. You are not really expensive, isn't it? Is they are broke, they are poor. So when they are broke and poor, right, then what happened is that the issue here is you didn't anchor yourself to the right value. You did not anchor yourself to the right benchmark. So then what are your prospects benchmarking you against? Make sense? So now you understand in my classes why I show you this, don't you? Is this making sense now of everything that I'm doing? This anchors you to measure my value accordingly, correct? Because it benchmark my teaching, my information, and my content, and it allows you, it gives you a benchmark against what how should you measure. If I don't do this, then what happens is you will benchmark me according to whatever you feel like benchmarking. My tone of voice, my slower speaking, so all of this. So when I successfully properly anchor my own value, I anchor it and I framed it and I primed it. Make sense? So what do I anchor? How do I do that? Is when I anchor my value with results, $1 million results, with fund manager results, right? For founders results, for traditional business result. Okay, so I frame my value according to my results. See that? So therefore allowing you to have a benchmark to measure my value. That's the anchoring effect. Okay. I also anchor it with what? That it doesn't just work for whatever you think it is. I properly and surgically make sure that you know this will also work for advertising. So now the benchmark has been adjusted to, you don't just learn this for sales presentation. You learn this also for social media advertising. I also benchmark and anchoring it with partnerships. I also benchmark it with massive transformation growth. Do you see that now? Alright, so that's me using all the principles that I've been teaching you. Now, do you remember also the garden principle? Do you remember this? And then I also talk about what else did I talk about? For example, remember this? I talk about the triggers right when I taught this class. Okay, this itself, do you see the principles at work? Do you see the framing principle? Do you see the anchoring principle? And do you see the priming principle happening? Okay, so Um, Priming is a very close cousin with association and conditioning. Got it? Now, um, what you don't see in this and what you might not know, right, is that a lot of people here on this, or for Jeffrey student, they are actually from very prestigious and elite schools. So that itself, right, was a um I would say all three effect, but especially, right, it has to do with priming effect. uh it has to do, and priming effect's cousin, right, is association as well as conditioning. So when every picture that Jeffrey took was someone from a prestigious school, it instantly primed everyone and every audience that he's serving the prestigious school. Do you see that? And in that same behavior, right, in the same one move, he also framed himself properly as a teacher of that level. Very different. Okay, and then that is how he anchor his value too. Okay, so framing is very active, but it can be used, both can be used, all three principles can be used active and passively. Passively is when you're not doing the work, meaning, like, for example, this exact thing that I show you here. When I switch out his banner for him and do this, you can see it's not a very nicely Photoshop kind of setup, but still, when you put the principles to work, the profit will work for you. Make sense? Okay, so it's all, so passive is when they visit your profile, they look at this, and then they are like, they instantly knows how to benchmark you, how to, because you anchor it properly. They and they instantly they are prime, they are prime for the result, and you frame the result beautifully. Framing the result, framing the audience about the result that they want, and also priming them on what you are about. Got it? Okay. So these are all examples of the principles in action. Okay. Now, so let's recap what we learned in this class, shall we? So we spoke about, the first thing we talk about is the framing effect. The framing effect, we covered about the 4 codes of money, right? So this 4 money code is where you don't want to have a clash of frame. When you have a clash of frame, your information doesn't get across. They will fight you on it, and when there's a clash, they will shut down, and they will be very high resistant. Okay, so that's number 1, frame. So you got to know the frame of who you're talking to and use that frame to your advantage. If your investor is all about safety, you cannot keep throwing the frame of fast and adventure. Okay, now let's go to angel number 2. That is the anchoring effect. So anchoring effect, most commonly known for their price anchoring effect. I took it a notch higher, and I teach about the primacy and the recency effect, meaning the beginning is the end. Your first girlfriend determines your next and all the other, and your last disappointment, your last breakup, your last girlfriend decides how you treat the next one too. Alright, that's the anchoring effect. Okay, the first thing and the last thing will be used to benchmark you. So life is unfair because they will judge you, they will benchmark you against their last experience. And this is very normal. This happens in everyone. Okay? So using that, you gotta learn how to promote yourself better. You gotta know whether your customers has been disappointed by your competitors before, for the black ships. Got it? If they have been, because they have been anchored to that disappointment. if they have been anchored to that disappointment, and you don't know how to reset the way they should benchmark you, then you're going to lose the deal. Got it? Because everyone and every investor, every buyer, every whale, every high ticket customers, they, especially when you're trying to go and rise up the ranks for the first time, then understand this: people who can pay you 10 times more than you are charging now they are not they don't just have money. The truth is they have experience too, and a lot of bad experience. They will ask you a lot of questions. They will, because they have been burned by a lot of negative people like in your industry. So in order for you to rise up, you gotta know, learn, and be prepared in advance. Just like entering a F1 race, you cannot be a driver one day and racer tomorrow, right? You got to learn the tracks. You got to learn the speed limits. You got to learn the limits of a car, the mechanics of a car. Then you can go and race very fast. The same thing with you going from one of the many to be the best. It's a process, and these are part of the process. You don't just go into the marketplace and charge 100,000 right off the gate without knowing what your prospects has been disappointed with before. Got it? Okay. Then finally, the third thing we talk about is the priming effect. And priming effect talks about what? It talks about how everything speaks even if it doesn't. What does that mean? That means, when the dog associate and a condition is conditioned with the meat and the bell, the next time that the bell is rang, the dog will start salivating as well. Okay, so priming effect, very close. The other two very close cousin is association and conditioning. So every morning, so if you look up this effect, right, you can Google for YouTube on priming effect by my teacher Tony Robbins. He talks about this and how you should prime yourself every morning before you go out into the world. What does that mean? That means you prime yourself how you want to believe about yourself, how you want to precondition yourself. For example, reminding yourself that this world has a lot of evil people, versus reminding yourself this world is full of lovely people, that something is good is going to happen to you today. Now when you do the first one, you go out there because of your confirmation bias. Every time someone do something right, you will find the evil in them. Why? Because you prime yourself in the morning that the world is evil, isn't it? And then if you are from a troubled family, right, unfortunately when the family is always quarreling, you are subconsciously continuously being primed that that's the normal. Even so, this is so important, because even if you're not even if you're trained, your subconscious mind will still absorb the information like a sponge. So if let's say that is the kind of environment you lived in, and in the morning you don't prime yourself, you don't purposely prime yourself on a new belief system, you don't properly prime yourself, then eventually becomes a habit, and a negative and bad habit, and it affects and compromise all your romance and relationships. So you gotta actively prime yourself every morning that this world is a good world. There's a lot of loving people. Everything that happened for me is for me and not to me. Things like that. Okay, I prime yourself. I do this for like what, 16, 20 years, almost 20 years now. And the things that I teach two specific exercise inside the 1Pitch program about the daily activity that you need to be doing and you must do in order to prime and condition yourself on a daily basis in order to manifest and monetize your results. And that is so important for me. I notice big difference when I don't do those exercise and when I don't have those artifacts to help me prime myself on a daily basis. Okay, so these three work in conjunction with each other. And although I say only three, right, I believe you realize by now there's actually more than three in action, don't you? So for example, the priming angel already involves two other cousins, the association and the conditioning. In the anchoring, right, it involves primacy, recency. It also involves um, a few other things. So why am I telling you that? Because I want you to know that this is not the one and be all. It's not just this. However, I make it simple for you to get started. Okay. And the reason why I do all of this, and even I even direct you externally, or I give you the exact term for it. I believe that this might not be the first program you're already on, and you've been to programs where you learn a bunch of other things. Other people, other teachers, especially beginners, they take information and sources from others, but they don't really tell you where it's from. They don't reveal the origins and the source for it, and they teach you this quote unquote ninja method, right? And then they never give. And for me, what I found is when I want to further that study and really master that craft and really go deep on that skill, I realize I can't. And as a young boy, those people charge a fortune, and I don't have the money to go into further coaching. So what I eventually spent and invest a lot of time trying to find my way out. So the reason why I'm giving you the actual name of the effects, the reason why I also is someone who is willing to direct you to external sources, and the reason why I'm okay with that, right, is because I come from a place where I was struggling, where I cannot further my studies. Because after this video, you might be so interested in this that you go on and go into a rabbit hole and take yourself to the next level, and you might even surpass me. You might even remind me of the other things that involves these three things. And your intellect and your context and your intelligence level, your wisdom will expand in such a rapid speed that your results and the outcome that you produce might even surpass my students, might even surpass my graduates. And you know what? Nothing makes a teacher more delightful and happy than the graduates breaking limits after limits. And that's what I want for you. And that's why I'm willing to do that. That's why I'm so different. I believe I'm so different. Okay? Another reason is because I learned all of this, right, for the reason of connecting with my family. Now, when I was growing up, I am unable to complete my sentences because I'm always getting shut down. I would be told to shut up, and I will always be in silence. And I learned all of this in an attempt to connect with my mother and my younger brother. And in the pursuit of this, right, and the ironic, sad truth, disappointing and painful truth, right, is that in the pursuit of this connection, we disconnect even more. Because I was in pursuit of this rabbit hole, in search of wealth creation, and all of this, to become a better teacher, to make more money, to earn more money, to create a fortune, so I can leave behind a good life for them. And the reason why I teach in the way I teach is because one day my brother might need all of this information. One day he might need to upgrade his persuasion skill. One day he might be lost and not sure what to do. One day, and if in the event that I passed before him and I'm not able to be there to guide him anymore, which I have not been able to do for the last many years since I started on my pursuit. I didn't want my pursuit to be to mean nothing. It needs to be worth it, because in my pursuit of connection we got disconnected. So the way I teach you is in a way where I hold nothing back, because I will not want to hold back on my own brother. I will not want to hold back on him. I want to make sure that he has everything from me as much as possible, so that if he found something of interest while he's learning this, he gets to go deeper into the topic, so that when I leave a legacy behind, his children, my nephew, should they feel lost in life, all of these assets become valuable possession for them, that they can learn persuasion skill that I spent decades to gain mastery. And if my nephews and my brother are wealth seekers and creators themselves, and they also fall in love with the persuasion topic, and they want to be persuasion teachers, or they want to use it to build billion-dollar brands, then it really warms my heart and comfort me to know that long after I'm gone, my bloodline, my family I'm still able to help them in my materials. And that is the exact same way I'm teaching you. That is the same way, with that mentality, with that motivation, with that incentive to transfer my experience, my knowledge, and my techniques to you. So that's why I give you everything I've got, so that it becomes a legacy that I'm proud of. Who knows, maybe your children or maybe yourself one day might do business with my nephews, maybe even my own grandchildren, I don't know. Someone, maybe my cousins, maybe my cousins' cousins. And it will warm my heart knowing that because of this, all of you built a bigger brand together. Maybe some of you become the next Tesla build. And I hope that this was the beginning for you. You taught it to your children and they pass it on, and the next big innovator is born. So that's why I teach very differently. Alright? Okay. So that being said, if you enjoyed the class, that's something a little bit about me that you don't know. Alright? And in case you in case you might be wondering what makes me different and why am I different. Okay? Alright, let's wrap it up and let's close it for the class. Again, if you are new with us and you don't know how to sell and close, if you enjoyed the class and you want to get started, then go to authorjason.com/reviews. On that page, you will find people who have raised capital, enrolled more students, get more buyers for their traditional businesses, for their old and traditional businesses, for their teaching career, for their if you are an author, coach, consultant, if you are a founder or a fund manager, if you are trying to have more career option, better career choices, be a better parent, or simply to find your companion in life. It works because these are timeless and proven persuasion principles that is applied every day in your life. Okay? So, if you have already been with me for a while and you enjoyed the class and you want to learn even more, you want to own the full system for yourself, then you can go to authorjason.com slash buy 1Pitch, and you can start to own the system and learn my 5-part formula. Now, as of right now, for only 400 people, right, you get my 1Pitch AI platform for free for your first year off. If you want to have a tour of that platform, go to authorjason.com slash 1Pitch AI. Alright? Okay, that's it being said now. Bye now, and I'll see you in the next class.